Hey everyone, this time on Tim Talk Audio, let's talk stereo compression. Is it better to do a stereo compressor or dual mono compressors? Well, there's good uses for both. Let's dive into the DAW and take a look at where we would use stereo compression versus dual mono. So here we are inside the session. And first, let's approach stereo compression. A good example of stereo compression is a compressor on your mix bus. In this instance, I have an instance of the FG Gray from Slate Digital. This is emulating an SSL style compressor. And this is strictly a stereo compressor. What's feeding in on both the left and right channels is affecting how hard the compressor is hitting. So if something's pushing a bit harder on the right, it will compress the left side as equally as it will compress the right side, even though the right side is triggering this compressor a little bit more. I'm going to bypass some drum bus compression I have going on. And let's just take a listen to your standard stereo compression with an A-B. So with this little bit of stereo compression, and really I was doing maybe 2 dB of compression, not a lot at all, but you heard a lot of life get added into these drums, a little bit of presence, some fullness, and what a lot of people would call that stereo compression glue to just this drum mix right now. When I put everything else in, it also helps with that as well, gluing everything together. But this is a stereo compressor. So there's that heavy ride cymbal that's going on towards the end, and that's coming out of my right side and your right side as well. And that's triggering the compressor a little harder, and it's actually affecting what's happening on the left side as well. Let's play it again, but pay attention to what's happening out of the left. If you could hear it, on the right, the ride cymbal was going crazy, but on the left, everything was squished down because this ride cymbal was hitting so hard. This is because of the stereo compression that's happening. What's happening on the right is triggering the same amount of compression on the left. Now let's take a look at dual mono compression. I'm going to go back to my drums over here, where I have an instance of the Waves API 2500. I use this because right here on this link section, I can make this a dual mono compressor. And so what's happening on the left and right is only compressing on the left and the right. You can also use this knob to vary the amount of link of the left and right channel. So if you wanted a true stereo compressor again, you could just take this and put it all the way up to 100. And it's working the same way that the FG Gray did. Right now, on individual, it's dual mono. What's happening on the left or right doesn't affect what's happening on the other channel. So I'm going to put this in, and let's listen to these drums again. Keep in mind, it's still going through my master bus compression, which is a true stereo compressor. Did you hear it? When the ride cymbal was going, the left side was not compressed as much as the right side was because we have dual mono compression going on. And it actually adds a little bit of life back into your drums because it's not taking signals of the entire stereo spectrum and applying the same amount of compression across both channels. It's now doing just a certain amount of compression on each side. Now I'm going to do a quick A/B within this plugin of just switching between dual mono and full stereo compression with all of the same settings. Just like we saw with the stereo compressor, when I put this to 100% link, the left side gets compressed because of everything that's happening on the right side. I'm going to put this back to dual mono because right now, this is what's working for this drum mix. So I don't know about you, but for me and my ears, I'm liking what the dual mono on the drum bus is doing to help just keep everything even between the left and right speakers and not overpower to one side or the other. I've opened up both plugins so we can see with dual mono feeding into our mix bus compression what's actually happening and seeing if it's actually compressing even more or less on the mix bus. So there you go. It's actually compressing less on the stereo mix bus because things are more balanced between the left and the right with the dual mono on the drum bus. Now, if I wanted, I could go into the mix bus compressor and bring it down a little bit more, actually causing more compression across my mix bus. But I would do this across the entire mix, so I would have to play with everything on and see what I liked best. If you don't have a compressor that can do dual mono right inside of it, it's easy to fix because you're inside Studio One. You can go here to the router and throw a splitter in line. Then the settings you're going to want to adjust is you're going to want to make it channel split. Now what's coming out of the splitter is your left and your right, and you can use just any stock compressor and throw it in line. You now have dual mono compressors coming off the splitter and then feeding these compressors. Now you have the opportunity to go in and adjust the left and right compressors individually without affecting the other one. At this point, I would go in and refine my compressors just a little bit more to get it closer to what I was achieving with the 2500. But you can see it's easy enough to do on your own using a splitter and 2 of the stock plugins. Experiment with your mixes and see what you like better across your stereo buses. That's the benefits of working inside the box. You're able to just go in and A/B things real quick, but that's the important part, is doing it real quick and then moving on because you don't want to get hung up choosing between a stereo compressor or a dual mono for too long and lose sight of the big picture. That's all for now. If you found anything informative, please like and share the video. For more, visit timflansbaum.com, and if you have a question, ask it in the comments and I'll answer it in a future video. Thanks for watching.